Hi, this is going to be a quick demo of some things you can do with Expert Sleeper's Crossfade Loop Synth and the Crossfade Loop Synth effect, which are all part of the same plugin. For this demo, I'll just be using these two plugins. You won't hear anything else being used. So starting with Crossfade Loop Synth, basically it's a sample playback synth. So if we do the most basic thing possible and load up a sample, this is just a Rhodes piano sample, and we load up the sample, we can play some notes. We're getting a soft attack, so we'll just wind the attack right down to 0 so we hear the attack portion. So there you go, simple as that. Now there's any number of things we can do to that sample to make it sound different with all these various controls. Simple one would be to apply a pitch LFO. There's filters as well. So wind in a low pass filter. And that's got an envelope over here. If you want to do that kind of thing, it's all fairly simple. We can use these buttons to scan through different samples in the same folder. Let's use this one. Now, unusually for a sample playback, there's this pulse width thing which lets you apply different pulse widths, which is similar to the effect of an old Casio phase modulation synth, if you remember those. That sounds a bit like this. Just quite drastically changes the timbre of the sound. There's an LFO for that. Also there's this one here, which is sync. I'll let you read in the manual exactly what that's doing, but what that sounds like is this. And then with the detune, that nice old analog monosynth oscillator sync effect. Again, there's a LFO for that. To do that, so that's quite an interesting way to change the timbre of your sound as well. Turn that off. Now, what's in the name? Crossfade Loop Synth. Why is it called that? Because it's looping the sound by using this crossfade thing. Now, normally if you just loop that sample, it would sound like this, which isn't terribly useful. Or if you just looped the end bit of it, you'd get that. But again, there's quite a recognisable repeat in there. So the crossfade smoothly blends the start and end points of the loop to give you a nice smooth loop. Now we don't have to loop forwards, we can also loop backwards, or loop backwards and forwards. So you can see what that's doing. Now applied to this piano sound, that's not such an interesting thing, but if you think what you can do with some slightly more random sample, say, nice bit of a track. We can quite easily make some interesting textures out of that sort of thing. That's the one I'm looking for. So there we go. Interesting loop sample out of a bit of dub. Yeah, so the creative possibilities for this are endless. Now, coming on to Crossfade Loop Synth effect, which is this one down here. If I just switch back to my piano sample, so you can actually hear what I'm doing more easily. Now, Crossfade Loop Synth effect is basically the same thing. It's a sample playback engine, but you, rather than loading a sample into it, what you would normally do is record into it live. So if I just set the record running here, it's far too loud. Let's try that again. See, so the output of this one is being fed into this, so it's just recording it. Now, in and of that self Well, let's just stop the recording. So there, it's recorded the section. If I now direct the input of my MIDI keyboard to that plugin, see it's playing back what I just played polyphonically if I want to, and with all the sound shaping options that I just showed you up here. Now where that gets interesting is, I'll just go back to playing this one. If you have it recording, say with some feedback, you see it's decaying gradually, and then using these drone things here, which are also in here, this is basically a useful way of playing notes in this thing without having to hold a keyboard down. So if I press that one, that is causing this to play back continuously at that pitch, which is the default pitch. So what I basically have now is a delay, because I'm recording into this buffer and playing back from it simultaneously. But if I change the loop mode to reverse, then I'm recording forwards but playing backwards, so I'm getting a reverse delay, or an alternate delay like that. Or if I change the pitch, so it's now playing an octave up, then my echoes are an octave higher than they were than I'm playing them in, or kind of both. Or if I want something other than octaves, maybe I want a nice chord in my delay, like so. Let's put that back to there. Now I don't have to play back the whole buffer. I could play back, say, a little bit of it. So now I'm recording into this whole buffer, but just playing back this in my with my drone here. So if I trigger notes over here, they're not getting into this bit that's playing back, but if I hold one down while the record goes to that, then you get that in the delay. So if you can think of synchronizing the tempo of this, the length of this buffer to the tempo of the track, which you can do with these controls here, then you can think you might have maybe just the fourth beat of every bar being looped as you play into it. And of course you can use this live as well, this doesn't all have to be sequenced. So there you go. So, expert sleepers, Crossfade Loop Synth. Cheers.